Good morning and welcome to Freshly Pressed for the 28th day of August 2023. And I've been joined by Mr. C right here in the studio to break down the papers.
Good morning, Omatseye. Good morning, AB. Good morning, Lagos.
And good morning to you, AB Bozimo. Welcome to Freshly Pressed.
Good morning. Great new week to all of you in the studio and all of the wonderful listeners.
And talking about listeners, you too can have your thoughts be known on the headlines we shall be treating inside Freshly Pressed this morning. Just send us a WhatsApp message onto the number 0809 444 0809-444-9981 will be where we get the numbers coming in. All right, so let's get into the conversation this morning as we pick up this paper this morning. Let's see. Mr. C, start us off with this paper, the Punch newspaper. Southeast, Ipman opposes state government's takeover of downstream regulatory role. What's this all about?
Okay, so thank you. So this is a recurring episode of what subnational progressive national governments have passed that change. We've continued to execute and express powers the constitution to possess or have. So what has happened in this particular story is that in two states in the southeast, particularly Anambra, we have governments at those levels visiting petrol stations, checking the machines for proper calibration of certain things, and purportedly seeing off stations that went well. Now, the challenge of all of this is that there is a body set up by law that has sole functions of carrying out these tests, and that is the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. The other ones who are tasked legally with doing all of this. Now, Ipman has continued to complain that even the subnational governments in Anambra and Enugu who carry out these tests lack the expertise and do not have the proper equipment and cannot operatively state whether the machines are calibrated properly or not. Now, it's interesting that the governor of Enugu State is in fact a member of Ipman because he owns a petroleum marketing company, but that's by the side. As a nation, we must continue to resist every ultra-virus execution of power by any individual entity. And to the Anambra State government and the Enugu State government, this has to stop. You cannot usurp powers that do not belong to you. You cannot exercise functions that are not yours legally. And I dare say that I think it's high time some of these victims, some of these petrol stations, exercise their rights in court and get a legal pronouncement on these sorts of actions, because that is the only way our law continues to be strengthened, our law continues to be expanded. And that is how respect for law and order will also be strengthened and institutionalized. So this has to stop. I don't see the subnational government stopping by themselves because for whatever reason, they believe that executive power at subnational level gives them the right to do everything under the sun. That is not true. It is not correct. And it calls into question, what do the state attorney generals and commissioners for justice in both states do? Because if they had been consulted, they will probably have advised the governors properly that you cannot undertake these actions. And for the officials who carried out these actions, at the very least, they should be sternly reprimanded in writing that no further acts should be carried out.
Okay, out of curiosity, if you say they do not have these powers to do any of this, but then in these states, they've got Ministry of Mineral Resources, Petroleum. So what is then the function of these ministries domiciled in those states?
So the ministries for mineral resources are there to, in respect of items or resources like coal, graphite, tin, bauxite, and the like. But with regards to petroleum is under the exclusive list of the Constitution. state governments do not play that space.
Okay. Well, that was it. Maybe you want to chime in, or we just go straight to your paper. If you have a thoughts you want to see on this one, you pass.
I'm fine. Thank you.
Hello, AB.
I'm okay with the story.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, you pass. So let's get on to your story this morning from the Vanguard, and it says domesticate health insurance scheme to reduce hardship. Doctors tell state governments, and this is interesting coming from medical practitioners who we know, and some persons from the general perception of the populace now, it seems like they are strike happy, but these ones, they seem to be preferring solution at this point. But Abi, run with this one for us.
I would argue that generally the doctors, being as educated, intelligent, and well-trained as they are, have always preferred solutions. The question has been whether government has been willing, ready, and able to listen to and adopt those solutions. In this case, the Association of Medical and Dental Practitioners who are in government general employment or practice are the ones saying that the 36 state governors should domesticate the health insurance scheme because they say in too many instances, people are stranded, they're unable to pay their bills, and they sometimes have to pony up the money, which is A, adding hardship to them. Two, of course, it is reducing their satisfaction in being those who should give succor and healthcare to the people. Two sectors of any economy are critical: education and healthcare. If you don't have a healthy populace and you don't have an educated populace, honestly, everything else you're trying to do will not be done optimally. And they're also saying there's another policy. I don't know what the intention was originally, but that when a certain doctor serves in those government institutions, they enter at level 12, and by the time they reach level 17, they are compulsorily retired. They say that means that approximately a 50 or 52-year-old medical professional has to leave service. If you really think about it, in many instances, that is when a professional is actually hitting their stride. They've had a bit of experience, they've encountered a few things, they now have a bit more self-assurance and ability to properly oversee whatever field they are, and you are forcing them to leave. When you put that in the context of the existing quote-unquote JAPA syndrome, it means you are leaving less experienced, fewer professionals to do the work for a burgeoning population. There is no logic that can support that at this stage in Nigeria. And so they are saying that policy too should be looked at, reversed, or indeed struck out, because the country needs all the medical expertise it can muster. You don't want to force them to leave service, and of course, very shortly thereafter, make the option of going elsewhere and giving their service to other societies for upwards of the next 10, 15 years when it could be here. But the bottom line, when we talk about hardship, is that the conditions under which medical professionals are serving must be looked at and properly upgraded, because you could say we all did it, and I agree we all do. But honestly, if you are ill, there is no other sector of your life and world that you can properly function in. So if I had to give everybody an A, I'd give the medical professionals an A+.
Affordable healthcare, that's the summary for citizens. It's just what the story is about. Thank you so much, AB Bozimo. Let's get on to Mr. C and keep things moving now as we reach out for the Guardian newspaper saying, Nigeria won't service debts with 90% revenue. President Bola Tinubu is the one assuring us at the NBA conference already. It's that time of the year for the silks and the bench and the bar where they meet again. So run with us.
Okay, thank you, Mas. So the annual national conference of the Nigerian Bar Association has started. It's holding in Abuja. And as part of the opening ceremony, the current president was in attendance where he delivered a speech. Now, as highlights of the speech include the fact that he made a statement declaring that Nigeria would not service debts with 90% of its revenue, which is already seemingly the case to him. He also went on to say that his administration plans to banish poverty from Nigeria, and or to do that, they need to focus cooperation of Nigeria's private sector. He's also said some other things, including the fact that lawyers and judges should be remunerated properly, and that he's going to do his best to ensure that they earn what he describes as as salaries. So I'm going to start by saying this. There is no country on the planet that has vanished poverty totally. And I stand to be corrected, including Switzerland. I'm not aware of it. That's the first thing. Now he says he needs to focus on cooperation with the private sector. He should get it, provided that his plans are properly articulated and the private sector can see a proper roadmap and understand what the government is trying to do. Now, when he says Nigeria will service debt with 90% of its revenue, right now, all production is quite low. We're not even hitting the OPEC set quotas. We then had the NSA over the weekend making a very incredible statement, no evidence, no material. So it begs the question, if you know that's not the plan, what is the plan to ensure that this doesn't happen? He says that we're in for hard times, and the short term and midterm, we have to adjust, that these measures have to be taken. Correct. At that point, I agree with the president. These measures have to be taken. However, in what order and at what speed? Yeah, he's taking everything. He started off at supersonic speed, and now he appears to have slowed down, literally paused the reform process. Now, Nigeria is still a mono-product economy, largely. We haven't grown our services sector economy to such an extent that we can compete with countries like India and Britain that export services. Now, when you look at other goods, we're not there yet. We're a number of reasons, including poor public power supply, indiscriminate taxes spread across both national and sub-national levels. We've even had incidents of some companies engaged in the business of production, leaving the country, and some are said to leave. Now, they're leaving for a number of reasons too, so it's not just because of the bad economic situation. But beyond the broad declarations, it would be good if we had timelines, we had these plans broken down properly so that the private sector can properly think to. Two, we can actually time the government's action so we can say, okay, we're on track, we're behind schedule, we need to double up, or we're ahead of our proposed course. Because when you say midterm, short term, how long is this short term? Is it 6 months? Is it 8 months? Is it 10 months? How long is the midterm? Is it 2 years? Is it 3 years? Is it 4 years? How do we measure your progress? Given the fact that any term of office is limited to 4 years. So if we take that, then we can safely say midterm should be what, 2 years?
All right, midterm, let's leave it at midterm because we see traffic lining up so that we have to pause there for these persons to cross so we can pick up the profit. When we are back, AB, you are up next, and then we'll get your thoughts and then we'll get to your paper. We're Smooth 98.1 FM and you're listening to Freshly Pressed. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa. I still got Mr. C here and AB Bozimo breaking down the papers for us this morning.
For sake of dialogue, what is the best way to grow your money? I'm here to tell you about ARM. ARM is all about ensuring your financial goals are met with ease, no matter who you are or what you do. Whether you have investments for important goals like paying school fees, personal development, you might want to go on vacation, or your rent is due, buying some properties, or preparing for the future. ARM has got you covered. There are a lot of mobile apps out there promising you to grow your money, but ARM has everything you need to grow from where you are and where you need to be. Start your wealth creation today by downloading the ARM One app from Google Play Store or iOS Store. There are great options for everyone. And you could even start with as low as 1,000 naira. That's amazing. For more information, visit arm.com.ng or call 01-271-5002. That is 01-271-5002. Wow.
We're back. We're smooth 98.1 FM. It's gone 13 minutes before we hit the 8 o'clock mark, and you're listening to Freshly Pressed. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa. I've got Mr. C here and AB Bozimo still with us here breaking down the papers. Before we went on that break, AB, Mr. C had just broken down the issues there facing Nigeria, why, with so much debt, the president saying that you won't service debts with 90% of the revenue. Speaking at the NBA conference opening, and your thoughts before we get on to the next paper.
Very briefly, the president's speech was quite stirring, and I understand it was delivered extemporaneously. So I would take it that it was spoken from the heart. The thing is that he said we must, make sacrifices and all that. I just beg him to help me define who the we are, because it's one thing to say we must, and then in the news and in all our optics, we see a certain segment of society, namely the ruling class, not appearing to make any of those so-called sacrifices. If you want Nigerians to follow your lead, you must lead in demonstrating that sacrifice. That's all I'd say to the leaders.
Moving away from there, we get on to the Nation newspaper this morning as we get ready to see this one, but let's get the listener involved in this. Let's get messages coming on to the platform 0809-444-0981, WhatsApp messages only 0809-444-0981. AB, the nation is waiting for your attention. Lagos announces 10-day planning permit processing. The last time you were speaking on this, you talked about permits, and that was an incident in Abuja, but then there was a Lagos Connect, but then it wasn't because Lagos architects were there. We sorted that out. But then you see, okay, so take it away from here, AB.
Now, this as an initiative would be completely, marvelously groundbreaking. 10-day planning permit processing would completely energize development in Lagos. Lagos, as it stands, is already one of the most, fertile markets for development. But there have been times when permits processing has proved to be a problem. For the planning authorities to say, look, going forward, we shall ensure that from the day you submit your permit request and 10 business days later, you'll get it. That is so impressive. I am still in awe. And I would expect that other places should adopt that type of thing. Now, what are the things involved? There's something called preliminary permit processing, where even before you want to go and purchase a piece of land, you can go to the authorities and ask what is allowed, to be developed there, so that you can decide if your money should be put in that place. That is such a helpful process. Additionally, I expect all the departments to be able to give you statistics, give you levels and everything, so that your developments will conform with future planning. It suggests already that Lagos is taking a very serious look at not just now, but at the future, and ensuring that all stakeholders, whether owners, professionals, and everybody, are properly served. I read this story and I totally approve, because it can only make our cities, starting with Lagos, much, much more effective and better served. So now let's make sure that we have the necessary professionals available everywhere. I understand they have even expanded the number of offices who are connected with the big picture in terms of planning and development, and give it, you might actually see the Dubai treatment. Lagos might become what, in my view, I've always felt, it can become the Venice of Africa, because Lagos has a lot of waterways, it has low-lying, you can have amazing things happen. I saw that story and I'm highly impressed. I do hope we can look forward to this in, let's say, over the next quarter being a reality.
Maybe, for us who are major actors here, and Mr. Seals, who are major actors in Lagos out here, and for those listening who are in Lagos, we can take pride in you saying you can say that again. That's what we just do in Lagos. We just strive after excellence every day and set the pace for the rest of the country. But the question again is, in this speed of trying to deliver, there might be tendency to lose out on the details. And you being an architect, take us through this in 10 days.
That was why, listen, typically planning approval, there's a checklist. You have to know the type of design approved, the proper setbacks, the type of quality, materials, and all that. If you have a checklist and you adhere to the checklist, will there be a few projects that may need a bit more? Even the owner and the designer will appreciate if you are doing a 60,000 unit development. That may not take 10 days, but you can get preliminary approvals and so on. I think it'll transform the ability for people to move ideas into money, into development. And the construction industry is one of the largest industries because it hires people of all cadres, from the professionals and the owners and financiers to the woman who sells groundnuts and rice at the site and everyone in between. So the construction can be one of the largest sectors in the world. In the US, they have something called construction starts, and the housing starts. Every month, they report how is housing being developed. And it's an indicator of the health or otherwise of the economy. So I'm just very happy to hear that the Lagos State government, to quote you, trying to be excellent, is putting this proposal forward.
Okay. Thank you so much, AB Bozimo, for that explicit one there. So let's get into this next one. But then let's expect the messages. I'll get back to the message in a short while on 0809-444-0981, 0809-444-0981. Mr. C, run with us for this 2 minutes, and let's see how we can get this done. Nigeria still losing 400,000 barrels of crude oil daily. That's according to the NSA, National Security Advisor, Nuribadu, and that's because the Daily Post is reporting this.
Okay, thank you, Amas. So I read the story and I was in a bit of shock. It's one thing to suggest or indicate that Nigeria has a capacity to produce 2 million barrels of crude oil every day. It's another thing to suggest that because current production levels at about 1.6 million barrels a day, that the deficit of 400,000 barrels a day is stolen. Yes, our barrels of oil being stolen every day. Correct. Do we know the exact amount? No. Does the government know the exact amount? I sincerely doubt they do. Now, we are aware that certain pipelines across the Niger Delta have been shut down, and the owners and operators of those platforms have declared force majeure for periods spanning more than 9 months or even 12 months. I know a number of independent local oil producing companies that have not produced a drop of crude oil in the past 12 months. So those who have not produced, can it rightfully or correctly be said that their crude oil has been stolen? I think this is a very lazy statement. There was no supporting evidence, no supporting material. And each day we keep hearing people are stealing crude oil is being stolen. But there appears to be no serious desire or will to apprehend, let alone prosecute. Once in a while, we're treated to pictures of some rascals huddled together. We're told that they've stolen stuff and then they will be prosecuted. And we rarely ever hear anything. Or the new MO they've adopted. A vessel is alleged or described to have stolen crude oil. Next thing we hear, the vessel has been destroyed. How does that make any sense? 3, why are we not applying technology at our platforms? Yes, between the platform and the offloading, between the terminal and the platform where the crude oil is lifted, there have been known to be breaks such that oil leaves the production terminal or doesn't get to the platform. How does that happen? Why do we have why do we have the Navy and the Army operating under the Joint Task Force in the Niger Delta, and we hear stories that defy common sense, that defy logic, and are completely absurd?
Okay, so Mr. C, thanks so much. 2 minutes. Let's see messages coming onto the platform now on 0809-444-0981. Chima from Surulere gives us this message saying, good morning, Smooth FM. I get worried as lawyers hold divergent views on constitutional matters. Nigerian constitution requires a graduate to undergo. I'm sorry where this isn't coming from Niger, is it? But anyway, thanks so much, Chima. But we didn't raise this issue this morning, so we cannot get that one in. So let's see this message coming in here. Good morning. Our healthcare sector, like any other sector in the country, is in comatose. In fact, our hospitals are not more than slaughterhouses, to say the least. Every day, people die either in their vehicles or at the hospital corridors due to lack of bed spaces and equipment to facilitate treatment. I don't know if these doctors' call to domesticate health insurance scheme by the governors can make any difference. Ajayi Olonilua from Magodo Isheri sent in that one. Next, I've got, okay, let's get back to you, AB. This one is coming from the Guardian newspaper. Subsidy is related to oil matters now. So subsidy removal, reduction of working days, not economically beneficial, so says the Association of Civil Servants of Nigeria.
You know, to summarize it, they said in some other contexts, it would be possible to say somebody who isn't physically coming in to work could still do all or some of their work from home. But in those contexts, you have power at the home. You have maybe internet connectivity at the home. That is a far cry from the reality in many parts of Nigeria. So saying people shouldn't come to work and thinking that that is a solution is short-sighted in this context. What people are saying is that, or what I would suggest is provide the means by which the people can come to work at an economical rate. And also, while you're at it, in the spirit of walking and chewing gum at the same time, provide power so that that indeed becomes an option in the short to medium term. I just think there were many knee-jerk reactions as soon as this happened. We've heard about money being saved from subsidy. Where is that money? What is it being put toward? How are people benefiting now in the short term, since we supposedly have been saving 400 billion naira every 30 odd days? Has it showed in anybody's ordinary life, or has that money been subdivided into bulletproof vehicles for a select set of people who I mentioned earlier?
Well, AB might seem you've not seen queues of people picking up their palliatives. That's why you still don't want to believe this. And of course,
it wasn't queues. It was crowds of people who were being dehumanized by cartons of random things being thrown into their midst. That is not a way to distribute whatever you describe as palliative. It is unfair, it is unconscionable, it is wrong.
Okay.
So, very quickly, what palliatives?
Just would you sum this up? Yeah, palliatives.
You're referring to the bowls of rice they used to dehumanize and disrespect.
No, in trying to raise this issue, you know, I raised this point because he has asked, he said there's money being saved in the process by virtue of this subsidy removal. And the government had already said palliatives are already on the way. 5 billion naira was issued to the different state government, wasn't that? And just in July, in fact, revenue, you heard what was distributed, close to 1 trillion naira. So that's because there's been savings. So that's why I raised that. But since you haven't seen and you said it was dehumanizing, so what did you see?
I read accounts of bowls of rice being given to multiple streets to share. And that is extremely disrespectful. It speaks to a complete lack of intelligence or reasoning. And it speaks to short-sightedness. What exactly is the plan? What is 5 billion naira supposed to do, really? Spread it across 1 million households. What is this supposed to do? 5,000 naira for a month?
Well, that's a wrap. I see it leaves a whole lot of questions for us to come back to pick up tomorrow when we get here. That's it. Well, are we expecting a 50 kg bag of rice for one household, or for one person, these are issues. That's what we define as palliative. I don't know. But let's see Fabian's message finally from Ekbe. Good morning, everyone. I wonder if our security forces don't understand how to manage crude oil theft. Supposed burning of ships will further pollute our waters as well as harm the climate. Can they not learn how other countries, handle their own cases? That's from Fabian from Ekbe. That's the size of Freshly Pressed this morning. AB Bozimo all the way from Warri. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Have a wonderful day and a great week ahead. God bless you guys.
And to Mr. C, we say thank you so much. Have a great week.
Thank you.
And to you all there, we say thank you. Let's do it again tomorrow. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa. Good morning.
It's a global observation that helps raise people's awareness.